You're in your 40s and you're thinking, how do I start saving for my retirement? And you know what, it's a good question. You're probably already doing some things that you need to be doing. We'll focus on what those things are because you might not even be thinking that they are for retirement. And then we'll add in some other ideas and things that you can start to implement in your overall strategy. In this video, we're going to get into things you might already be doing for retirement, right? You're in your 40s, you're probably already doing a few things. So we're going to talk about that because some of them you might not actually even think are for retirement. The next thing we're going to get into is, okay, well, what are the things that I can be doing? And we're going to offer you some tools that can help you kind of map things out when it comes to retirement. And last, we're going to talk about something called a safe withdrawal rate, right? Because everybody wants to know the rate of return, but one thing they're not thinking about is the rate at which they can withdraw from that portfolio. So you're 40 and you want to know, what do I do with my money, right? What are the things that I can be doing? Well, the first thing that you can do is get everything in order, right? So in the description below, there's a free cash flow analysis. Get that. Download it. What that's going to give you is the ability to see how much money do I have coming in? What are my overall expenses? What kind of debt am I servicing? And what kind of savings level do I have, right? Once you have all that on paper, now you can really start to lay out your plan. But if we look at, well, what are the things I'm doing currently? Let's think about it. In your 40s, you may already own a home. And if you do, you may not be thinking about that, but that could be an asset for you when you get to retirement age. If you're like most folks here in the tri-state area, specifically New Jersey, where I live, it's a very high tax state. And you probably already see it. Many people are moving out of this state in droves. Why? Because they just don't want to pay the taxes that they have to pay to keep the house, to stay up here, right? So what do? They unload this house and they move to a lower tax area. What that creates for you, and you may not be thinking about it when you actually buy your home, but if you buy a home now and 30 years later you end up selling it for a much greater price than you initially paid for it, you take that money and you move to a lesser tax area. Maybe you buy a different home. Maybe you're downsizing because the kids are out of the house. You're looking to just travel around and be more, downsized, more compact. You don't want as much to clean. Well, there's maybe a whole bunch of cash left over that can be put towards your retirement. So the good news is that in your 40s, if you own a home, you're probably already doing some of these things that you need to do for retirement. You just might not be thinking that your home is part of your retirement plan. On top of it, if you're working for a company that offers a 401k, are you taking advantage of that 401k and that match? I know that, some people may be thinking this is not enough money for me to be saving. Like, I need to be doing more than $19,000, or I need to be doing more than the match that they're allowing me. And that might be true. We can figure all that out. Again, there's calculations that can be done on all of your money to figure out how much you actually need when you get to retirement. It all starts with looking at what you have coming in today. So we spoke about debt service and how your house can be part of your retirement. You also in that sheet can talk about the savings that you're doing and looking at, well, how much of my income am I actually saving? What's the percentage? And is that percentage enough? How do I increase that? Well, if we have all this debt, what's the best and quickest way to get out of debt? If there's a lot of credit card debt, let's look at ways to attack that debt first, because once that high interest credit card debt is gone, well, then we can focus on increasing our savings. I know nobody likes talking about debt, but if you like this video, go ahead and click that button. And by the way, you know how to do it. Subscribe, because we see like 70% of the people watching our videos haven't subscribed yet. So go ahead and subscribe. You'll get a notification when new content comes out. focusing in on that debt and getting rid of that. If you're like me in your 40s, you probably had racked up some previous debts and you needed to get through that. Get through it, because that's going to put you on a better path, right? So now we have what's coming in, we have what's going out. Are there areas to cut? I don't like to talk about that. That's for you to decide. That's why you fill out that paper, right? If you're thinking you're spending too much money out or on certain activities or doing different things, that's for you to decide. There should be no financial person out there telling you how much you should and shouldn't spend on stuff. It's your money and your decision. But what is good to know is the consequence of that action, right? If you're overspending or you're spending all of the dollars that are coming in, you have to understand that at some point when you stop working, if you haven't saved enough, you're not going to have that retirement that you're really looking for. And to that point, when you're starting to think about what retirement should look like for you, really try to dial into, do I want that retirement to be, in a cabin in the woods somewhere? Do I want to be on a golf course in in a warmer climate? Do I want to stay close to the grandkids? What are the things that are important to you? Because that will help you decide also how much money you need when you do get to retirement. Figuring out how much you need when you get there will help you so much when it comes to how to save and how much to save. Your home is a huge asset that can be turned into retirement income at some point when you do retire. A retirement plan, hopefully your employer offers that. If your employer doesn't offer it, what can you do? Open an IRA, open a Roth IRA, right? Those options there are easy options that you can start putting money away. But what if that's not enough? What if $6,000 doesn't get you to where you want to be? You can look at real estate as an option. You can look at opening a brokerage account and buying stock, maybe opening a business, or even purchasing life insurance. Yes, cash value life insurance can be a place for you to save your money in order to generate tax-free income when you get to retirement. On the topic of retirement, one of the questions we often get asked is, what rate of return should we assume for our assets in retirement, right? Like, I create this pile of money. Now, how much can I expect to earn on that every single year in order to sustain my retirement? The answer is that there's been some calculations done, right? And back in the mid-90s, there was a paper written by Bill Bengen, and he wrote a paper called the 4% rule. And that 4% rule said that in their study, every 30-year period ever possible, they went back in time and looked and said that 4% was the only rate that you could safely withdraw off of your assets in order to sustain that pile of money for a 30-year period. And success in that was measured by the account having $1 or more. So the important thing to think about in that is, well, if I'm 40 now, I retire at 65, maybe 70, people are living a lot longer. And the likelihood for a married couple to have a 30-year retirement is very likely. So in that, if you're thinking, okay, 4%, well, that'll sustain me, that's the type of withdrawal you wanna think about. So it's not what's the rate of return that I'm going to get, but it's the safe amount that I can withdraw from my portfolio. Two different things, because you're no longer investing, you're actually taking money out, right? But, there's been another monkey wrench. That paper was written in the middle 90s. Now, if we fast forward through 2008, the financial crisis, into where we are today in 2012, 2014, we get out to, 2021, we just lived through the global pandemic. We have the lowest interest rates we've ever seen. And the economists today have been doing research on that. And a guy by the name of Dr. Wade Pfau, you can look him up. Dr. Wade Pfau has done more research, and his numbers are much, much lower. Really what he's saying is like 2.8%. So to put that in perspective, 2.8% would say if you had $1 million, you could safely withdraw $28,000 a year to sustain that for 30 years. That's a scary number if you're retiring today. The good news is it doesn't have to be that for you, right? You can do the planning and the preparation now, diversify your assets enough so that you can sustain a much higher withdrawal rate in retirement. And that's really what you want to focus on. Not your rate of return, because you can't control that, but really how much can you safely withdraw? And working with the right people, working with the team here at Epic, we're able to help walk you through that. If you're ready to talk to somebody on the team, go ahead and click in the box below. There'll be a space for you to fill out, and one of the team members will reach out for you. But if you're not ready, we have a lot of other videos on retirement. You can check those out here.